Hello, Legacy Sabers, Marsh here. So today we're talking about the general form of a hyperbola and a parabola. You're going to want your conics foldable and something to write with as well. This is a continuation of completing the square part deux that we talked about. We already talked about circles and ellipses. So now we're going to talk about the other two conics. So last time we talked about how every equation of a conic can be written in this big, giant, stupid form that we can't use for graphing. So we need to be able to accomplish the task of making this into the conic form or the standard form of a conic so that we can actually graph these conic functions or these conic sections. Hyperbolas, when you multiply them out, look something like that. And when I multiply out a parabola, it would look something like that, even if I would move it to the other side as well. Okay? So now we need to be able to know which conic is it when it's been multiplied out. So hyperbolas, how do you know the difference? Because they kind of look like an ellipse, right? Well, you still have the x and y squared. They do have different numbers, but the main thing is you have different signs. That's the main thing to tell the difference between a hyperbola and an ellipse. If you see an ellipse, you'll have the same sign. Hyperbolas, you'll have different signs in front of your squared terms. Parabolas, he's the odd man out. He is only one variable squared. So he is the easiest conic section to identify in its general form because it's the only conic with only a single squared variable. Now, we need to get it into standard form. Again, here's the steps to completing the square. We need to group the x's with the y's, so the dogs with the dogs, cats with the cats, and then send the constant numbers to the other side of the equal sign. We're going to make sure the x and y squared only have a factor of 1 or coefficient. If not, we're going to factor out. We're going to take the number for the x, divide by 2, and square. We're going to find blank for that. We're going to add these numbers to both sides, and then we're going to factor on the left-hand side twice. Whew. Lots of information, right? So now, with parabolas, they are kind of unique. Like I said, he's a parabola. He only has one squared. Parabolas, you are going to kick the y, or the guy without a squared. You're going to also kick that to the other side because we need to have that p-value on the right-hand side, right? So I'm going to group the x people together, and that is because there is an x squared, and I'm going to not just kick the number, but also the y term to the other side as well. I now need to make room for blank over here, so I'm going to make room for blank. Over here, I am going to add that blank. Let's factor, find the blank. So negative 8 divided by 2 and square that. That would be 16. So on the right-hand side, I have 2y plus 2. And on the left here, after I factor, because if I factor this, right, you would get x times x would give you x squared. 4 times 4 would give you 16. They both have to be negative to give you negative 8. If I write that fast, I'll get x minus 4 quantity squared. Now, so close to stopping, right? But normally on the right-hand side, there's parentheses, right? So on the right-hand side, we do need to factor out the common term. There's a common term of 2, so we're going to factor that out so that I can have that p-value inside the parentheses there. And that is the equation of my parabola. Let's try number 6. So I see double squareds, so it's definitely not a parabola. And since they're different signs, I know that this is a hyperbola. So let's group the guys together. And you know what else I'm going to also do? I am also going to put the positive squared guy first. So I want to make sure that the y's are going to show up first. Reason for why I am doing that. I'm doing that so that when I do all of my completing the square and my factoring, this negative right here, there we go. This negative in between is going to be the second term. That's what I want to do. Okay, so I want to make sure that when I multiply all this out, I get to have that middle term, the second term, be the negative guy. So first thing I notice is I do have to factor out from the y's. So I'm going to factor out a 4 because I need a 1 here to complete the square. Put my blank. This guy also needs to be factored out. You need to take a negative 1 out. So this will be a positive 2x since I'm factoring out that negative 1. And then I am going to add 4 times the blank minus 1 times the blank. So I don't forget those. Oh, excuse me. Whoopsies. That could have been bad. There we go. Y and x. Finding the y's blank, it would be 6 divided by 2 squared is 9. And then 2 divided by 2 squared is 1. So now on the right-hand side, I'm going to have, what is that? Negative 19 plus 36 minus 1. 34 is what we're looking at. Oh, that's negative 19. Silly, silly Marsh. So negative 19 plus 36 minus a 1 gives us 16. Factors here. I'm going to take that 4, just put it out front. It would be y minus 3 squared equals negative 1, x plus 1 squared. Again, it's a hyperbola, right? Can't be equal to a number. So let's divide by 16. Oh, why do I have an equal sign there? There we go. Y minus 3 squared over 4. Now, this minus 1, it's going to just drop the negative to go right here. Okay? So that is what's causing the negative between the two fractions. And that is my hyperbola. Strange, right? They're kind of unique. Let's try number 7. So this one, again, I have double squares. They have different signs. Immediately, hyperbola. So I'm going to put the people together. Notice there's only 1x squared. So I actually don't really have to worry about grouping everybody. And the y is what's negative. So we're going to put y to be the second set of parentheses. So that way that negative is going to take care of that middle for us. Okay. I'm going to factor out the 4 on the x squared. Notating, though, that honestly we're not having to do that because there's no completing the square going to happen there. But we're going to take care of it anyway. I'm going to factor out a negative 25, which would give me, what is 150 divided by 25? 6 is going to be a positive 6y. So over here, I got 125 minus 25 times something. That's my y. The x's don't have anybody, but I do need to find the blank. So I'm going to go 6 divided by 2 and square that. So I'll be 9. So on the right-hand side here, I'm going to have 125 minus 25 times 9, which is a negative 100. Interesting. So I got 4x squared. Factor here, y plus 3 squared. So I got to divide by negative 100. Now, here's the unfortunate thing. Notice, this is going to be the negative, and this is going to turn into positive, right? Because negative 25 over a negative 100 is a positive number. 4 over negative 100 is a negative. So even though the y was negative to start out with, change sign on me. So I do have to flip this thing around. I do need the y to be first in my answer. And that's going to be over 4. That is because of 25 over 100. And now that negative that's going to stay with this division, because of this division over here, I am going to take that negative, put it in the middle, and simplify 4 over 100, which is 25. And now I'm equal to 1. I have completed the square, and I have found my hyperbola's general or standard form. Number 8. I first notice it is a y squared, so that definitely is a parabola. I'm going to group the y's together, but I am going to kick this x guy to the other side. So I'm going to go y squared plus 6y, and then I'm going to go negative 12x plus 51. Make sure that's a 51 on your foldable. I think there was an error possibly. Let's make room for blank. Notice there's a 1 here, so we don't have to worry about multiplying by any means. I'm going to go 6 divided by 2 and square that. It's going to give me 9. So over here, I'm going to get negative 12x plus 60. Over on the left, if we factor y squared plus 6y plus 9, I'll get y plus 3 quantity squared. And on the right, I need to make that look more parabola-like. So I'm going to factor out that negative 12 so that my x minus, what would that be? 60 divided by 12. 5. My minus 5 can sit in the parentheses. Just like that. The reason why I have to do that on a parabola is because we need that p-value to be sitting outside parentheses. That's why we do that one. That's why he's kind of a little different at the end when we do a parabola. And that is the end of this video. I know, a lot of algebra, a lot of math today. But it actually, like I said on the other video, if you know how to complete the steps, they are literally the same problem over and over, just a little bit here and there different. But that is how to place a conic that is in general form into standard form. Till I see you later. See you later, Sabers.